You have spent years chasing money, and somehow money keeps moving faster. Every raise feels like progress until the next bill proves it was temporary. You earn more than before, work longer than before, and own almost nothing. Your income increased. Your freedom quietly disappeared. You helped create the result, but your paycheck stayed fixed. The world keeps telling you the answer is more money. So you chase harder, thinking the next number will finally feel different. But rich people rarely become rich by chasing the number on a payslip. They chase something beneath the money, something that makes money follow them. Tonight, you are going to discover what that something is. Then the opportunity you wanted finally arrives. The salary is bigger than anything you have earned before, but the offer has a price nobody mentioned: your ownership. To earn more, you must surrender the one thing that could become yours. You have 36 hours to choose certainty or possibility. Everyone sees the salary. Nobody asks what you are giving away. Your body already knows what your ambition refuses to admit. Chasing money has already cost evenings, health, and people you promised to call back. The business is small, uncertain, and painfully real. For the first time, your work created value that did not belong entirely to someone else. One path pays you now. The other might build something later. The money is clear. The real cost is almost impossible to calculate. A larger paycheck can improve your life or purchase more of it. Ownership offers upside, but it also gives you nowhere to hide. So you ask a question most people never stop to examine. Some say passion, some say discipline, some say luck. None feels complete. Then a message arrives from an address with no name. It offers no advice, only 3 meetings and 1 question. Ask the right people what they pursue after money is no longer the problem. The location makes no sense. That is exactly why you go. You are not looking for a shortcut. You are looking for the rule beneath the game. At midnight, the dead building looks strangely awake. Someone has prepared this place for you. For the meetings, you are told to dress like the person you intend to become. The clothes change quickly. Your thinking has not caught up yet. 3 doors, 3 wealthy builders, 3 different answers. You may ask each person 1 question, and you cannot ask for money. The price of entry is honesty about what you are about to trade. For the first time, the offer is measured in more than dollars. The higher number hides 2 shrinking numbers behind it. Warren Buffett looks at the salary and asks who owns the machine producing it. You produce value, but the system, and most of the upside, belongs elsewhere. Jeff Bezos asks how many times your best hour can be repeated without you. Your effort creates income once. A system could create value thousands of times. Elon Musk asks what problem is important enough to organize money, talent, and technology around it. You asked what rich people chase? He asks what deserves to be chased. The challenge is not asking you to copy their lives. It is asking you to recognize the same pattern beneath 3 very different careers. The first clue is ownership. The second clue is leverage. The third clue is control directed toward a mission. But 3 clues are not yet an answer. Assets matter, but ownership without purpose can become another prison. Power matters, but control without direction can consume the person holding it. Freedom is the destination, not the engine. 2 deadlines are now chasing you. Accepting now would end the uncertainty and the question. The first lesson will not tell you which choice to make. It will change what you believe you are choosing between. Money is not the target. Money is the evidence that value and ownership met. One person sells an hour. The other keeps a claim on what the hour helps build. The real question is not how much the job pays. It is whether the money increases your ownership or merely rents more of your life. Rich people do not begin by asking what they can buy. They ask what productive engine they can own. An owner can benefit from value created after today's labor is finished. Ownership captures the combined result of people, systems, tools, and time. The same dollar can disappear or purchase a claim on future production. Compounding looks boring because the dramatic part happens quietly. Owners learn to measure some decisions in years, not weekends. A valuable business is not always the one attracting the loudest attention. Durable demand matters more than temporary applause. Consumption, passive ownership, and active ownership solve different problems. A share is not a lottery ticket. It is a small piece of an operating business. Your own business deserves the same disciplined questions as any public investment. Ownership is not magical when the underlying economics are weak. Better ownership begins with better value, not a prettier valuation. The owner's advantage is not only profit, it is the right to decide. Control lets you adapt instead of waiting for permission. A contract can pay well and still be economically expensive. The choice changes when tomorrow receives a place in the calculation. You return home and make ownership visible before making it impressive. The first owner habit is knowing exactly where the engine leaks. Cutting costs is useful only when it protects the value customers came for. Owners listen for problems worth solving, not compliments worth collecting. The business gets smaller on screen and clearer in purpose. Ownership can include businesses you operate and businesses you simply share in. You stop measuring progress only by monthly income. Desire does not disappear. You give it a different job. Ownership should eventually reduce dependence on your exhaustion. Then, ownership delivers the part motivational stories usually remove. Certainty looks most attractive when responsibility becomes uncomfortable. Owners do not escape problems. They inherit the authority to solve them. Trust grows when you protect the customer before protecting your ego. Understanding the process is cheaper than blaming the person at the end of it. A solved problem becomes valuable when the solution remains after you leave. Responsibility can create the trust that advertising cannot purchase. Warren Buffett does not praise the revenue. He studies what became repeatable. Income tells you what arrived. Ownership tells you what may continue. The wealthy are not immune to spending. They protect the productive base first. Ownership creates possibility, not certainty. Judgment still matters. The first answer is simple. Keep a claim on the value you help create, but ownership trapped inside your personal hours can only grow so far. To stop chasing money, ownership needs leverage. Your second meeting begins with an empty cart and an impossible question. Jeff Bezos measures your business by what happens when you are absent. Right now, every sale creates another job for you. Your income can rise while your available life shrinks. That is not leverage. It is self-employment wearing a business costume. Leverage begins when a decision can travel farther than the decision maker. Wealthy builders combine forms of leverage instead of worshiping only one. The right person does not merely add labor. They multiply judgment. A process turns memory into something another person can reliably use. Technology repeats useful work without repeating human exhaustion. Capital can accelerate a sound engine or accelerate a broken one. Scale without customer value is only a faster way to disappoint people. Working backward exposes friction hidden by internal convenience. Every removed obstacle gives the customer time back. Customers rarely want your complexity. They want their problem changed. Clarity is a form of leverage because understanding travels quickly. Long-term thinking permits investments that short-term fear would reject. Useful systems often look inefficient before repetition begins paying them back. Leverage earns its place only when it scales value for someone else. You return home and turn your business into a visible system. The map reveals that you built yourself into every doorway. The first escape route is transferring knowledge out of your head. Leverage begins with a small test, not a dramatic payroll announcement. When someone cannot follow the process is still unfinished. A system improves when reality is allowed to criticize it. Automation should remove repetition, not remove care. The first recovered hour feels more valuable than the first extra dollar. Leverage returns time before it creates visible wealth. A system becomes real when you trust it long enough to test it. Then leverage multiplies a mistake faster than you could have made it manually. Systems amplify competence, but they also amplify carelessness. Control begins by shutting down what should not continue. Reliable scale requires a safe place for failure. Good control is precise. Total control turns the owner into the bottleneck again. The goal is not absence. It is freedom from unnecessary presence. You finally track leverage as carefully as revenue. Jeff Bezos studies the process, not the temporary spike in orders. The richer metric is value that grows without consuming equal amounts of your life. Real scale is knowing exactly where growth will break you next. Leverage includes knowing what should never depend on your weakest skill. Ownership keeps the claim. Leverage expands the value behind it. Yet scale creates a dangerous new question. What exactly are you expanding? Leverage can multiply convenience, waste, harm, or progress. Your final meeting is not about earning more. It is about directing more. The third clue begins where the money question ends. What mission deserves the ownership and leverage you are trying to build? Elon Musk treats money as fuel, not the destination on the map. More fuel is useless when the system has no chosen direction. Resources without alignment create activity, not progress. Control begins with the ability to say no to competing futures. A mission coordinates decisions that money alone cannot organize. Ownership gives you a claim. Leverage gives you reach. Mission gives both direction. Control is not touching everything. It is identifying the decisions that matter most. Strategic control protects the system without suffocating it. The strongest control creates clear boundaries where capable people can move quickly. If every decision requires you, you control a job, not an organization. Influence is leverage applied to attention and belief. A mission nobody understands cannot recruit customers, talent, or capital. Clarity gives other people a reason to carry the idea forward. Control does not mean controlling every opinion. It means protecting the essential direction. A strong mission guides action because people can see whether progress occurred. Influence without substance spends trust faster than money. Influence scales when people adopt the purpose, not merely admire the founder. Nobody else can choose the problem that will make your sacrifices meaningful. You now have ownership, leverage, and control, but no personal mission yet. Possibility becomes another trap when you refuse to choose. The mission starts with the problem, not your preferred technology. Saved time is not an abstract benefit when someone knows exactly where it goes. A small, reliable improvement can matter more than a grand promise. The mission becomes clearer every time your ego leaves the conversation. For the first time, the business has a direction that is not revenue. Mission creates control by making attractive distractions easier to reject. What you measure teaches the system what to chase. Then money arrives carrying a new direction inside it. Different offers can hide the same trade, resources for authority. Refusing misaligned money is hardest before aligned money exists. The challenge has changed your questions, not removed your fear. Control is not rejecting every partnership. It is understanding what each term can change. Protecting direction sometimes looks exactly like losing an opportunity. Mission does not pay bills merely because it feels meaningful. Control becomes real when priorities survive a shortage. Elon Musk studies the direction you protected, not the money you declined. Mission is proven through repeated outcomes, not cinematic promises. Control is strongest when the purpose survives outside the founder's hands. A mission that destroys every relationship can become another form of captivity. The wealthy chase control so resources can serve a chosen direction. Ownership, leverage, and control are not three separate secrets. Together, they create options, the practical shape of freedom. Now the challenge returns you to the decision that started everything. They cannot choose for you because freedom borrowed from another person is not freedom. The meeting is over. The real test begins in your ordinary life. You leave without a fortune, a prediction, or permission. The highest salary wins only one category. The offer does not merely delay ownership, it erases this version of it. Keeping ownership does not guarantee the future you want. Control begins by questioning choices designed by someone else. For the first time, you negotiate from a framework instead of fear. More money arrives precisely when you decide money is not the only measure. You do not reject work. You reject a structure that owns every useful hour. Freedom can feel like panic before it feels like possibility. Control also means accepting responsibility for the uncertainty you choose. A mission without a runway becomes a speech. Temporary active income can protect long-term ownership when used deliberately. Not every dollar deserves equal access to your calendar. Control starts with boundaries small enough to enforce today. Leverage is selective. Some work gains value because you remain close to it. Freedom is not abandoning responsibility. It is choosing where your judgment matters. The first meaningful milestone is not your bank balance. Then the market reminds you that ownership includes exposure to change. Customer reality separates useful response from anxious imitation. Control means choosing the problem you promised to solve. The mission survives only if cash is treated honestly. Ownership means absorbing consequences before passing them downward. Freedom built by destroying your health would repeat the original mistake. The business is not rich. It is becoming durable. A process now carries your judgment without demanding your presence. Leverage returns your best hours to the work only you can do. The mission is becoming measurable in someone else's life. You are no longer impressed by money detached from direction. Aligned leverage increases reach without selling the steering wheel. For the first time, growth occurs inside a life you are actually living. 1 year later, the city is moving at the same speed. The business no longer stops at the edge of your attention. Money is still measured, but it no longer stands alone. The ending is not a fantasy where every risky choice wins immediately. The richer position appears only when the full equation returns. Freedom first arrives as a calendar you can sometimes control. Leverage protects the company from your absence, and your life from the company. The wealthy figures are gone because the framework now belongs to your decisions. Ownership means keeping a claim on useful value. Control means directing resources without surrendering the life they were meant to improve. Options are what rich people are usually trying to accumulate, not endless leisure. The ability to choose among meaningful uses of time. So why do rich people stop chasing money? Because money is only one tool inside a larger system. They chase ownership that can preserve value. They chase leverage that can expand value. They chase control that can direct value. And those three things create the freedom money alone keeps promising. You do not need billionaire money to begin using the billionaire question. Start at the scale your real life can sustain. Stop chasing money as though the number itself can choose your life. Build ownership, create leverage, protect control. Let freedom become the result. Rich people do not stop caring about money. They stop treating it as the finish line. The goal is to build a life where money is no longer making every decision. Own the value. Leverage the system. Control the direction. choose the life.